Stephen Toope, who's the president of the university, about to open the ceremony.
What's the point of a university education? No doubt a few of you are asking that question as you sit today at graduation, poised on the cusp of a new life, a life full of promise, but also with the inevitable uncertainty that marks all transitions. Recently, I was privileged to hear an address by the great Mexican essayist and novelist Carlos Fuentes. Sadly, he died only a few days after I heard him speak. He was reflecting upon the role of universities, and I think he said something profound. He argued that the university is a place where, quotes, people learn to be freer. Some of that freedom is physical and emotional. In university, most of us move quickly on that continuum of learning who we are. We may live on our own for this first time, away from our families. Even if we are still at home, our sense of independence, of freedom, is likely to grow. We spend more time with friends and classmates than we do with families. Our parents don't have the same day-to-day influence that they had in our childhood. Now, before you parents get angry with me, let me say that I share your pain. My eldest daughter is studying in Europe. Her freedom is a constant challenge to my need to protect and connect. But of course, Fuentes was talking about something bigger than physical freedom and something additional to emotional freedom. When he speaks of a university as a place where people learn to be freer, he means, I think, freer intellectually, even spiritually. I hope that your time at the University of British Columbia has opened up new worlds of ideas to you. I hope that your teachers and classmates have challenged you so profoundly that some of your deepest assumptions have been rocked. I hope that you've been introduced to cultures and worldviews that have caused you to question your fixed ideas. In short, I hope that you're freer today than when you arrived here. Freer of prejudice, freer of settled points of view that prevent you from seeing other ways of thinking, freer of assumptions that cloud analysis and block emotions. How does that happen? How does education help make you freer? Well, oddly, I think that it is in large measure through intellectual discipline and the recognition of boundaries that our freedom is built. In the last few months, a rather interesting, if seemingly arcane debate has opened up on the pages of some major magazines and in the blogosphere over the utility of brainstorming. Now, at first blush, brainstorming would seem to rely on the value of unfettered creativity, on unshaped thinking. Indeed, at its inception in the 1940s, brainstorming was described by the person who coined the term, Alex Osborne, an advertising executive, as a creative process that requires the free flow of ideas in a group without any criticism or negative feedback. Osborne suggested, quotes, creativity is so delicate a flower that praise tends to make it bloom while discouragement often nips it in the bud, end quote. It turns out that some pretty compelling research does not support Osborne's hypothesis. Professor Keith Sawyer, a psychologist at the University of Washington, concludes, quotes, decades of research has consistently shown that brainstorming groups think of far fewer ideas than the same number of people who work alone and later pool their ideas, end quotes. Oh no. Does that mean that all those group projects you did in high school and here at UBC were a waste of time? That we humans are intellectual isolates who don't need to work together? Well, happily, it does not. In a recent article in the New Yorker magazine, the young and very cool science writer Jonah Lehrer you should check out his YouTube presence, reviews fascinating research that shows convincingly that the very best way to create ideas is not solitary confinement, but nor is it free association, brainstorming in a group. In the words of Professor Charlotte Nemeth of Berkeley quotes, "Our findings show that debate and criticism do not inhibit ideas, but rather stimulate them relative to every other condition." End quote. An increasingly powerful body of research reveals that the notion of the creative superhero, the lonely artist, is largely a myth. Creativity is rooted in social interaction. Philosopher Auguste Comte opined that, quotes, "The most profound thinker will never forget that all men must be regarded as coadjutors in the discovery of truth." Well, we may or may not agree that truth is out there to discover, but at the very least, we're more likely to be able to approach truth in settings where our ideas are challenged, where our assumptions are tested, where open debate is encouraged. We are actually freer when our own thoughts are disciplined in discourse with our peers and teachers. Life is full of surprises. We will never have all the answers, and you surely do not have all the answers today just because you're graduates of this great university. As Fuentes reminds us, education contains the questions that are still to come. That's the point of a university education. Good luck to each and every one of you, and again, congratulations.